try to follow with me. That is G for you. G for you.
And then,
One more. Six.
wait.
73.
I don't think I can play that one. I think it's A for me. Yep.
I think you know Let's finish one more. Oh, you want okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying, and I hope others will be coming. It's been wonderful already, and we're looking forward to more information. To mention, we're going to be learning about optimal immunity, and then at 3:30 we'll have the Old Mountain Remedies, which I'm also excited for. And we also have for visitors or anyone, even our members, there is a Stay Connected at the welcoming out in the lobby. And if you sign up for this, it will help us to send you an email when our next health message will be out, or when Walt comes again next year, we're planning on for a whole weekend. More than one day. And also to give us ideas what you're all interested in, so we can give that to you as well. So as we begin, we'll start with prayer. First, I'd like to also thank our musicians. They do such a beautiful job, and I really appreciate you all. So if we could bow our heads and have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we're so grateful again for this Sabbath day and to the joy that I feel here today and the commitment for all of those who have come, that they want to learn the message that you have for them, that you've always had for all of us, and now you're bringing us back to that. We thank you for providing Walt, that he was able to come and his wife came with him. We're so grateful for that as well. And as we go forward, we ask for the Holy Spirit to come and be with Walt and give him the message that needs to be spoken to all of us. We thank you for this in the name of Jesus, your Son. Amen.
Do you have any ministry feelings out there?
Oh, I think so.
How'd you enjoy Vittles?
Good.
Good? Yes, they were very good.
Excellent.
So we're going to talk about optimal immunity and how to achieve it. Is our immune system important?
Yes, sir.
Many times folks will say, well, what can I take to, naturally that's a healthier pill for the immune system? And there are things you can do, but the biggest thing is to prevent it from happening. It's kind of like sandpaper. If I took and rubbed my arm with sandpaper, and then you came up and said, here, honey, let me put some medicine on it. And you put medicine on it. And then when you leave, I go rubbing it again. And then tomorrow you come up and say, oh, honey, you need more medicine. It's getting worse. Yes, it is. Put some more medicine on it. And you put more, and then I go rubbing it. Is it going to heal? Not till I stop the sandpaper. And so what I try to do now is I work with people. Yes, there's things we can do to address things, like diabetes or whatever. But I'd rather get to the root cause and reverse it. The same thing is true with the immune system. There's things that will take out the immune system, and if we can prevent that, that's better than trying to take something to keep from getting sick. So we're going to look at optimal immunity, how to achieve it, what is the immune system, what's things not to do, what are things to do, and then things that you can take. And we'll see how much time we have to get through this. So what is the immune system? The immune system distinguishes self from non-self and eliminates potentially harmful non-self molecules and cells from the body. The immune system also has the capacity to recognize and destroy abnormal cells that derive from host tissues. Any molecule capable of being recognized by the immune system is considered an antigen. The skin, the cornea, the mucosa, and the respiratory and gastrointestinal tract form a physical barrier that is the body's first line of defense. Some of these barriers also have active immune function. And we talked about the skin. The skin is the largest organ on the body. And how can we make that skin susceptible to a problem? Tear it open. That sandpaper. If you have a hole in your arm, that's why does it worry about the eyes and the nose and the ears? It's holes in your head, and that's how things can get in. Things not to do. How do we weaken our immune system? There we go. I call it the 3 S's. Number 1 is sugar. Number 2 is stress. And number 3 is sleep deprivation. Sugar. Who's ever read Neil Nedley's book, Proof Positive? Do y'all have that in the library here? Proof Positive. Excellent book. Proof, P-R-O-O-F, positive, Proof Positive. Excellent book. And in that book, Neil talks about if you drink a 12-ounce soft drink, it will take out your immune system up to 50% for 4 hours. Now, this is just a 12-ounce. Now you look at all the folks out there drinking 48 ounces, gulps, whatever. I had a guy come in to me one time, he had diabetes. We're sitting down, I'm getting a history, and I said, how much water you drink? And he said, I don't do water. I said, what do you drink? He goes, I'm Mountain Dew. I said, well, how much do you do? He says, 3 liters a day. 3 liters a day. So if a 12-ounce soft drink wipes out your immune system for 50% for 4 hours, think of what 3 liters does. And then Neil found that if you put a Snickers bar, we're talking one about this big, and not the ones this big, but when we were kids, one about this big. Now only 1 out of 14 white cells is going to work for the next 4 hours. You just anesthetized 13 out of 14 white cells for the next 4 hours. And that was me. When I was here in North Carolina, I was working in Asheboro, and then I moved up to Spruce Pine, and I did a lot of training throughout North Carolina in healthcare. And so when I'd leave home, I would, I'd stop and get fuel, get me a Dr. Pepper, and get me a Snickers bar. Now, what did that do to my immune system? And then I get to the meetings. It didn't matter if I was here in Raleigh or if I was where, all throughout North Carolina. They'd have Danishes for us. And back then they'd have soft drinks. Today you don't see the soft drinks out as much, it's a lot just water. But back then there'd be soft drinks. And so what did I do when I get to the meeting? Well, I got to be nice, and take one of their Danishes they offer you. And so I'd eat a Danish and get me a soft drink. So what does that now even further do to my immune system? And then old Henry over here, he goes, hey, Walt, how are you doing? And he rubs his nose and he shakes your hand. And then I pick up my Danish and I'm eating it. My immune system's tanked, and now I'm going to catch what he has. And so sugar is amazing. Natalie says that a milkshake, or a regular size milkshake, or one slice of cheesecake will wipe out your immune system 92 to 93% for 4 hours. That is significant. It's the sugar. The next one's stress. Natalie also talks there about stress, and he says that 1 minute of anger will take out your immune system significantly for 6 hours. Now, there's a guy called Arvo Khanna. Anybody ever heard of Arvo Khanna? He's a neurologist. He's friends actually with Neil and Natalie. He used to work together. And Arvo and I were friends, and we were teaching this seminar one day together. And before we went out, I said, now, Arvo, you're the specialist on the brain. You're a neurologist, and you specialize in brain function. Tell me, is there a big difference in 1 minute of anger and 1 minute of stress physiologically in the brain to what it does to the immune system? And he said it does the same thing. So whether you say 1 minute of anger, 1 minute of stress, significant anger, significant stress, can tank your immune system significantly for 6 hours. The next one's sleep deprivation. Now, when I got out of school in 83, back in school, they taught us that less than 6 hours of sleep was sleep deprivation. Mayo Clinic today says less than 7 hours of sleep is sleep deprivation. Harvard says less than 7.5 hours is sleep deprivation. But Harvard's flirting with 8 hours. The Breezel-Belloc study, again, Neil talks about in the Proof Positive. It's a 15-year study of 6,950-some people. It found if you got less than 8 hours of sleep, you died quicker. If you got more than 9 hours of sleep, you died quicker. So that sweet spot is 8 hours of sleep. And if you get less than, if you have sleep deprivation, it significantly lowers your immune system. Plus, depending on what state trooper you get, I was working a wreck one morning, in the middle of the morning sometime, and someone was drunk, had a wreck. State trooper, he was the supervisor, he was the sergeant, cuffed him, put him in the back of his car. I said, Jenkins, what if, and the guy failed his sobriety test. I said, what if I was driving back home and I was just plumb tarred and I could not pass your sobriety test? He says, you're going to jail because you are not safe on these roads for yourself or anybody else. You're going to jail. So when we see sleep deprivation, it not only can mess with our cognitive function. I worked a house fire several months ago. I was teaching Sabbath school and for one of the docs, and Friday night went to bed, and I'd gotten, I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours sleep, and tones dropped. Well, you know, my guys, I'm here, so I'm not fighting a house fire. Last night we had a fire. They take care of it. Well, I was at home was the difference. The other big difference was there was a lady inside, could not get out. Now, what do? Say, oh, well, the guys no. If someone's going to die, I believe God's okay if I go and on Friday night, go help get that person out of that house fire. And I don't do normal fire stuff on Sabbath, but if it is a situation, someone's life's in danger, I will go take care of that. I'm a volunteer fireman. I'm not a paid fireman. And did you know that 75% of the fire departments in the United States are volunteer? Only 9% are fully paid. Yeah. I got 2.5, 3 hours sleep. I go to Sabbath school. And my brain's just not working too good. And so I tell them when I go into class, I said, my cognitive processing speed just isn't working too good. And I couldn't even say cognitive right. So I sit down and I start teaching. And that neurologist was just 2 chairs from me. And I wasn't in there for 5 minutes talking. And we were having discussion and they were asking questions, whatever. And he says, Walt, let me tell you something. He says, when you have sleep deprivation, your brain processing speed is the same as a person with early onset dementia. So my brain was working like someone with Alzheimer's. And it affects it when we have sleep deprivation. Sugar, besides being a driver behind other chronic health conditions like diabetes and heart disease, sugar consumption affects one's body's ability to fight off viruses or other infections in the body. White blood cells, also known as killer cells, are highly affected by sugar consumption. Sugar hinders the immune system by not allowing the white cells, that's what we're talking about, the white cells to do their job and destroy bad bacteria or viruses, as well as when we do not eat sugar. The average American eats approximately 22 teaspoons of sugar each day, 150 pounds of sugar per year, and 79 pounds of high fructose corn syrup. Now, high fructose corn syrup is a big problem. And the challenge with high fructose corn syrup is not only the sugar aspect, but what is it? Corn. And it's non-GMO corn. Sleep deprivation. Sleep provides essential support to the immune system. Getting sufficient hours of high quality sleep enables a well-balanced immune defense that features strong innate and adaptive immunity and less severe allergic reactions. And in sleep, there's 3 components that you want to look at in sleep. Number 1 is how many hours of sleep did you get? But the other one is, what time did you go to sleep? Now, we're told that the hours of sleep before midnight is worth twice the hours of sleep after midnight. And that's been proven scientifically. When we went to school and you were in anatomy and you had your charts, you had a chart of the bones, the nerves, the vascular system, the muscles, and the lymphatic system. Well, the lymphatic system was white. It's his shirt. Because we did not know that the brain had a lymphatic system. So the brain was white. Well, in 2013, Harvard published that the brain has a lymphatic system. It's the glymphatic system. And from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock approximately, because it changes based on when the sun goes down and actually what part of your time zone you're in. Did you know that people who live in the eastern part of the time zone versus the western part of the time zone are healthier? Isn't that interesting? But say 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, the brain does a deep clean. From 10 to midnight, it does a thorough clean and flushing. But you got to be asleep for it to fully work. And the other thing is contiguous sleep. Are you getting into REM sleep? Are you waking up, 4 or 5 times men to go to the bathroom? Or ladies, are you waking up because your hip's hurting and now you're worrying about the grandkids and the kids? That's just physiology. And so it's several things. You've got to get those hours of sleep, be asleep by a certain time, and you've got to be able to get into REM sleep. Now, what do they say in Kenya? What do people say they go to bed when they go to bed?
9, 10.
Depending on where you are. If you're in the bush, there's a difference. When I go to Rwanda, yes. And in Kigali, they stay up. But in the bush, they go to bed earlier. And they say they go to bed with the birds. When I go to Honduras, they say they go to bed with the birds. We say we go to bed with the chickens. Is that a bird? Yeah. Or we did on the farm. We were a dairy farm, and you went to bed early because you had to get up early to milk. Lack of sleep can affect your immune system. Studies show that people who don't get quality sleep or enough sleep are more likely to get sick after being exposed to a virus, such as a common cold virus. Lack of sleep can also affect how fast you recover if you do get sick. So, if you have adequate sleep, that 8 hours of sleep, and you come in contact with somebody, you have less propensity to get sick than that person who did not get that good sleep that night. Now my immune system dropped. I have a higher propensity. Stress. Many of today's illnesses and diseases are triggered by chronic stress, which depresses the immune system and wreaks havoc on every organ in the body. Psychology Today. Now, the number one diagnosis in America is stress. WHO says that depression soon will surpass stress in the United States and become the number one diagnosis in America. Depression. That's significant, y'all. That's huge. Exactly how stress causes and contributes to disease is a question of particular interest to researchers. There are 2 likely pathways. One is behavioral. People under stress sleep poorly, less likely to exercise, and they adopt poor eating habits. Those sound familiar, those laws? Yeah. Smoking more, don't comply with medical treatments. Stress also triggers the response by the body's endocrine system, which releases hormones that influence multiple other biological systems, including the immune system. Stress wreaks havoc. And here's that 1 minute of anger or 1 minute of stress suppresses your immune system for 6 hours. Things not to do. We talked about sugar. We talked about sleep deprivation. We talked about stress. But what about a poor diet, vitamin D deficiency, alcohol, obesity, smoking, dehydration? Has anyone ever heard of internet addiction? Yeah, we'll talk about that. Poor diet. Diets that are limited in variety and low in nutrients, such as consisting primarily of ultra-processed foods, can negatively affect a healthy immune system. It is also believed that a Western diet high in refined sugar and red meat and low in fruits and vegetables can promote disturbances in healthy intestinal microorganisms. And that's true. Microbiome is huge, both in the mouth and in the gut, resulting in chronic inflammation of the gut and associated suppressed immunity. What percentage of the immune system is determined by gut health? 75%. 75% of your immune system is determined by gut health. Harvard University, November 1st, this past year, came out and published that one of the now big triggers for hypertension is gut biome, misbiosis, shall I say, the health of the gut biome. Vitamin D deficiency. How do you determine vitamin D deficiency? How do you know if you're deficient in vitamin D?
Muscle aches, joint pain,
Okay.
too weight.
Too what? Mary Lou and I were in Alaska in June, and we go up and present up in Alaska, and a medical doctor there told me 100% of his patients are vitamin D deficient. Like a sunshine. But how do you know if you're deficient in vitamin D? Pardon? Blood work. You're exactly right. The problem is the blood work. Now, the blood work will tell you 30 to 100 is normal. But neurologists will tell you anything less than 60 affects cognitive function. So though 30 to 59 is okay with your attending physician, when you go to your neurologist, he tells you he wants you at least 60 and up. And we're now seeing more and more physicians say 80 to 100 is what they're looking for. Yeah. Deficiency in vitamin D is associated with an increased autoimmunity and an increased susceptibility to infection. Research shows that vitamin D plays an important role in immune function, and a deficiency in it is shown to increase one's susceptibility to infection. Vitamin D deficiencies can mean your immune system is more vulnerable. Low levels of vitamin D have also been associated with frequent infections. And a 2009 NIH study warned that NIH warned that low vitamin D levels are associated with frequent colds and influenza. I had a lady come in. Her lab, vitamin D, was 12. Is that good or bad? Okay. Now, the lady is Caucasian. Is there a difference in Caucasian and you? Yes. When I went the last time to Rwanda, I took Irvin Davis. He's a black physician out of Georgia, South Georgia. And he would tell the physicians in Rwanda that, he says, we have sunglasses on our skin. He says it takes 6 times more exposure to get the same amount of sunshine, vitamin D as it does Walt. So this lady is Caucasian. She works in landscaping year-round in the Gatlinburg area. She takes 5,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. Her blood level is 12. So we went to 10,000 for 3 months, retested. It went to 17. Is that still good? No. So I called a buddy of mine. Anybody know Dr. Ted Watkins in Washington, D.C.? He's a black physician up there. He's a surgeon, a good friend of mine. Watkins works mostly with black patients. He works a lot with the Caribbean folks. He works a lot with vitamin D deficiency. And so I called him. He says, go to 40,000. So went to 40,000 for 3 months. 40,000 a day. She's Caucasian. She's working in landscaping. She went to 24. What's going on here? So I called Watkins back. He goes, I don't know. And this has been several years ago. 1 week later, I'm walking from one of our rooms to the next room, and I'm in the doorway, and my phone rings, and it's Watkins. I said, yes, sir. He said, did you see that study come out this morning? It's about 11 o'clock in the morning. He said, did you see the study came out this morning? I said, I did. Magnesium. He goes, yeah. He said, try that on your girl. See if that helps her. Get a hold of her. I said, let's go with magnesium to bowel tolerance. With magnesium to bowel tolerance, and she jumped to 97. We've learned that a magnesium deficiency, a boron deficiency, affects the metabolism of the vitamin D. And so the only way you know if you have enough if you're taking enough vitamin D, or if you have enough magnesium, enough boron, is the blood work. You got to have the blood work. But you can have a vitamin D of 100 and it not work. They've now found if your vitamin A is too high, and even though you have the right amount of vitamin D, it's not going to function properly because the vitamin A that's too high affects its function. So lab work, I think, is important. Alcohol. Now, alcohol is, what's the problem with alcohol? Sugar. Yeah, sugar. Or when I go in the school system, I'll be going in the school system in a week or two and teaching again, and the kids will tell you, you know, when you say, what's alcohol do? It makes mommy and daddy do stupid things. And stupid things can affect your immune system. But the sugar, yeah. Alcohol compromises the body's immune system, increases the risk of adverse health outcomes. Alcohol can trigger inflammation in the gut and destroy the microorganisms that live in the intestines and maintain immune system health. So yes, it again, affecting that gut biome. Obesity. Obesity, like other states of malnutrition, is known to impair the immune function, altering leukocyte contents, or leukocyte counts, as well as cell-mediated immune response. Smoking. Let me tell you what, the toughest place I ever taught smoking cessation programs, can you guess where it was? I was in Kernersville.
Okay.
I lived in Randleman. I went to the Kernersville church, and I would do stop smoking classes in Kernersville, which is right outside of Winston-Salem. Hardest place I ever been. RGR would send their employees to our class when they got cancer. Yeah.
That's a little late.
Yeah, it was late, but yep. Smoking. Smoking harms the immune system and can make the body less successful at fighting disease. Dehydration. Dehydration can weaken the immune system, making the body more susceptible to infection. When dehydrated, the body struggles to eliminate toxins, which can lead to a decline in overall health and immune function. University of California at Davis says it takes a half a gallon of water, 2 quarts, 64 ounces, to run a 5-year-old. We're bigger than when we were 5 years old. 5 years old, up to 128 pounds, is is a half a gallon to sit on the couch. So you've got that 124-year-old female who is exercising, working in the garden, whatever. She needs a half a gallon to sit on the couch. But if she's out working in the garden, exercising, she needs more than that. For those of us over 128 pounds, it is body weight divided by 2 to sit on the couch. But if we don't sit on the couch, we need more than that. And the state of Tennessee tells me I'm to drink a gallon of water a day. Why? Pardon? I'm a firefighter. And so proactively, in case there's a structure fire, proactively, in case there's a wildland fire, proactively in case I'm standing on I-40 at 100-degree weather. And then in rehab, we drink more. But we're to drink a gallon of water a day. But here's the key. There's a guy who's friends with Einstein. And he found that if you drink more than 2 to 3 ounces of water at a given time, it goes into what's called free flow. So if you drink 8 ounces of water, which is very easy to do, 8 ounces of water, you can only count 2 to 3 ounces towards your water intake for the day. Because 5 to 6 just urinated off because of free flow. So what he said you do is you take your water 4 times a day. 4 times every half hour. A good mouthful. 4 times every half hour. Except, now, who is this guy friends with? Einstein. He was another physicist. He was another genius, big, smart guy. He said 15 minutes before you eat, while you eat, to an hour after you eat, drink nary thing. Have we ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Interesting, huh? And so he said during the day, you want to drink 4 times every half hour, except that 15 minutes before you eat, while you eat, to an hour after you eat. It's kind of like pouring a 5-gallon bucket of water on a tomato plant, what's going to happen? It's going to run off. Versus a drip line, it's going to soak in. Now, what's the other problem with this picture? What's in it? Caffeine. Caffeine's a diuretic. They tell us for every ounce of caffeinated drink that we drink, we need 6 ounces of water to make up for what it did as a diuretic. So if you're drinking an 8-ounce coffee, 6 ounces, how many ounces of water do you need to take to make up for it? 48 more ounces on top of your body weight divided by 2, plus an extra quart, plus the 48.
Just don't drink it.
So don't drink it. And caffeine, who's ever been on a farm of cattle? Who knows what a cattle prod is? Hot stick. Pardon? Prod?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Caffeine is like a cattle prod on your nerves. It's just constantly shocking you, just wearing them nerves out. And it's just not good for us. Internet addiction. I had this guy come in last year. He comes in and his eyes are real red. Now, who's ever seen welding burn on the eyes? That's what it looked like. Looked like welding burn. And he comes in and he says, "Can you help me?" And I said, "You been welding?" "No." "What you been doing?" "Oh, nothing." I said, "It don't look like infection. It looks like welding burn to me." And "You ain't been welding?" "No." I mean, we can address it like infection, but it does not look like infection. And he says, I need to be honest with you, don't I?" I said, "Yeah, you need to tell me what it is so I can know what to do." He said, I'm trying to remember what it is. He was playing, he says, "I'm going for $1 million. Right now, I'm at the highest." He says, "I have one more game to play." He says, "I've been up for 4 days playing this game on the internet." He says, if I do this one more game," he says, "I ran over here to get something for my eyes. I got to be back home. I have one more competition. I get to go to Vegas." And he says, "If I win in Vegas, I get $1 million. I forgot. I'm trying to think of the name. I don't remember it. Doesn't matter. And I said, I knew it wasn't infection. And so we got something for his eyes, but that's what gaming does. It's an addiction. It is an addiction. I mean, I don't have time to do what I got to do, much less can you imagine playing some game that doesn't get you nothing?
Social media also.
Oh, yes, it is.
Non-gamers, they still spend a lot of time.
That's right. They do. And here's what it's talking about. Internet addiction can damage immune function. People with excessive internet use have 30% more colds and flus and symptoms than those with less problematic internet use. Those who spend excess time on the internet tend to have greater sleep deprivation, worse eating habits and a less healthy diet, engage in less exercise, and tend to smoke and drink alcohol more. I left my phone back there, but what is it when a person does this? That selfie. Did you know there's a diagnosis for that now? Psychologists have given a diagnosis if a person takes a picture of themselves more than 3 times a day. Have you heard that? It's called selfitis, inflammation of self. It's a true, it's real. It is a diagnosis by psychiatrists of a person that you just ain't right. As we look at the self that comes in, as we look at internet and those kind of things, and I believe the universe boils down to 2 words. 2 words. The whole universe boils down to 2 words. It's very simple. Love, and love is of God. God's character is love. And everything was honky-dory until Lucifer went nuts. And when he went nuts, he came up with a new word. It was called self. selfishness. You can put all kinds of self words on there. And he wanted to elevate himself, but everything was about himself. So as you choose between doing this versus this, is it from love, from God, or is it something for you, for self? Does that make sense? Internet has a lot of self in it. A lot of self in it. Things not to do. There's more, but those things can take down your immune system. Things to do. Number one is prayer. I had this lady come in one time, watching my time here. Had a lady come in, and it was a Friday morning. Mary Lou was teaching the kids at home, homeschooling. It was a Friday morning, so it's been a while. And I got 4 ladies standing there. I'm helping. And this lady comes in. She's in her probably 30s. Yeah, she was probably her early mid-30s. Comes in, and another looked like she was a whoop dog. I mean, this woman did not look good. And she wore this gypsy kind of clothing. Her hair was really weird. And she comes in, walks around, comes in, and walks behind the counter. Walks right up to me, behind the counter. She says, "You Walt?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "They told me you could help me. Your herbs could help me." Well, if you've ever dealt with cows, did you learn how to tell if a cow, how the health of the cow? Look at her eyes, look at the head gate. The head, the gait. You can tell if she's sick just looking at her many times, if she's plumb sick. Well, this lady looked plumb sick. Something's wrong with her. And I knew that by myself, I didn't have time that day to help her because I was by myself in the store and I had to help other people. And then Mary Lou would be there Monday morning. So I said, "Come back Monday morning and I'll be glad to help you, 8 o'clock. She says, "I'll be back." She turns around, walks around, she gets about to right there, and she goes, and she turns to me and she says, "I will be the worst case you've ever dealt with." Just staring at me. Walks on out and leaves. And the 5 of us, the 4 ladies and myself, were going, "What was that?" She's not healthy. She's not well. You can tell she's not doing good. And then she says, "She's going to be the worst case I ever dealt with." So Monday morning, she's there right on time. And so she comes in, we sit down, we start a history, we're talking. She tells me she'd been to a psychiatrist. She'd done the drugs, it didn't work. She'd been to a psychologist, had the therapies, that didn't work. And someone told her maybe the herbs that I had would help. She was from Sevier County. And we're talking and going through a history, and she stops me and says, "I need to tell you something." I said, "What's that?" She says, "I can make things levitate. Do you believe me?" "What do you say?" "Yeah, I believe you." "Can people make things levitate?" "Yeah, they can." And so I said, "Yes, ma'am, I believe you." Now, automatically we know we got a problem. So I start inside praying. Okay, help me here. And she didn't say nothing else. So we continue on. And we keep going. And then she says, "I need to tell you something else." I said, "What's that?" She said, "I can tell you what's across the street." She turns to the left, looks out the front door, and there's no Riley's Auto Parts, just built. They had just finished building it. She says, "I can tell you everything in that store, and I've never been in there. I can tell you exactly where it is. Do you believe me?" "Yes, ma'am, I do." Now we have confirmation. So we continue on. So I shift gears, and I start, okay, we know what our problem is. And so I start shifting over to things that she needs to do. And I mentioned Jesus. Well, she starts shaking like she's having a seizure. I said, "What's wrong with you?" She says, "They don't like that word." Or name, I guess she said that name. And she finally settled down, and I continued on. I thought, well, let's test. Don't we test in science? So I said, okay. And so I thought, okay, I'll say God. And then I said, and I mentioned God. She did not shake. Okay, something's different here. So we continue on and talking about things she needed to work on, and I talked about Jesus again. She goes to shaking again. And it showed me how much more Satan hates Jesus than God. At least to me it did. Well, we continued, and she told me that at nighttime she'd be picked up out of bed and thrown against the wall. Her husband validated that later on. And other things I did not even know that happened. And he validated it. And I told her, I said, ma'am, you're possessed. Well, she knew she was possessed. And so I encouraged her. I said, some things to do to help her brain. You need to get sleep and eating healthy and exercise. And I said, you need some trace minerals. And I gave her some B-complex and some flax seeds. She didn't bring no money with her. And I said, well, here, just take this. See if, do it. And I want you to do it for 1 week. And I said, also, when they start to talk to you, I want you to say, in Jesus' name, Satan, get thee behind me. And I said, I don't care if you say it for 20, 30 minutes. You just keep saying it for 20, 30 minutes until they quit talking to you. And she said, okay. I said, do you want to get better? Do you want them to leave you alone? She said, yes. Okay. I mean, a person's got to want it, don't they? If they don't want it, it ain't going to happen. It's like a person smokes. Usually ain't going to quit smoking if they don't want to smoke. Quit smoking. So we started walking up to the front door. This was a Monday morning. And I remember some Gideons had brought me a little New Testament Bible the week before, or a couple of weeks before, and maybe the week before, and given it to me. It was a little white New Testament. And I went and picked it up and I gave it to her and I said, and I want you to read this between, as what you can read between now and next Monday. And come back next Monday morning at 8 o'clock. She said, okay, I'll be here. Next Monday morning, she was there right on time again, 8 o'clock. And literally, she looked like a different woman. A whole different woman. And still dressed real weird, hair real weird still, but her countenance was a total different woman. I said, are they bothering you anymore? First of all, how you doing? She says, I'm doing great. Are they bothering you anymore? She says, no. I said, why ain't they bothering you? She says, when I say what you told me to say, they cannot talk to me. I said, did you get a chance to read that little book I gave you? She says, yes, I especially like the first 4 books in that book, especially means she'd read more than. I said, why did you like the first? Because it was a New Testament. And she said, because it talks about Jesus. And she did not shake. That is the power of claiming Jesus. I mean, it's powerful, y'all. Praying is huge. It's just, we have been taught in academia, in the school system, that we can do it. That's what they taught me in school. Is that not true? That we can do it? No, we can't do it. We have responsibility and we can go to Him and do what He's told us to do. But the power comes out of prayer. It's huge. World Health Organization, health diet, hydrotherapy. So this is homework. I encourage you to read Psalms 91 and Psalms 103. Psalms 91 and Psalms 103. There's significant power of prayer to help whatever health issue you have, whatever issue you have. Prayer is huge. WHO. I was flying back from Kigali on the middle of September 2020. What was going on? As I was in the airports in Frankfurt and Ethiopia. I mean, here's the news all over in the airport. These countries shutting down and everybody and when I got to Frankfurt, the folks from Asia, I mean, they all had masks on. And so I'm reading up on this thing called COVID, trying to learn as much about it as possible. They recommended some things by that time, but they changed. Wash hands regularly, soap and water, alcohol rub if not visibly dirty. We know that soap and water get some stuff off, alcohol gets some stuff off, but y'all know, nurses, washing your hands too much, does that bother your hands? Does washing your hands too much take too much good? Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, my brother and I, and then my sister. My sister's the youngest, and she was always sick. And finally, one trip to the pediatrician, I mean, you could look at my brother and I, the way we dressed, the way we were, and we were just boys. And my daughter, she looked like some little doll. And my sister looked like a little doll. And the doctor said, do you ever let her get down and play with the boys? Oh, no, my mom said. He goes, let her get down and play with the boys, eat their food after they eat together, whatever. She's not getting germs. Get her some germs and she'll be a whole lot better. And it's true. You got to have some germs. Well, it is true we need to wash our hands. But we can wash them too often, actually, we've learned. Practice respiratory hygiene. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing. Throw the tissue into the clothesbin and clothesbin and wash your hands. What happened when we were boys or girls? Granddad, you got a little snotty nose. Granddad pull out his handkerchief. Here, Johnny. And Sally, here. Well, he'd just go ahead and his nose too and put it back in the pocket. Remember those days? I remember those days. No, don't. The handkerchiefs for women who are crying, you can hand them a handkerchief. But not for us to clean our nose with. You need to throw it away. And then wash your hands. That is true. Maintain social distancing. This is one item that changed. On the way back on that plane when I was studying, it was 1 meter. Went to 2 meters. Avoid touching your eyes, mouth, nose. That's because there are holes in your head. Mask, and this was interesting. Mask and personal protective equipment if you're sick, when caring for someone who is sick in a healthcare setting. That was the only time they recommended it. If you're unwell, stay home. If you have a fever, cough, or difficulty breathing, seek earlier care. There are countries in this world which have socialized medicine. They do not want you to come to work if you're sick. Sweden is that way. If they want you to stay home because you're going to come to work and infect a whole mess of other people who are then going to be out. It's better you just go ahead and stay out for whatever you need because it will lose less hours of lost time. Things to do, healthy diet. Let me cover a few other things. These are typical things. We're going to run out of time on this part and we won't get into the next one. They're called laws of health. 8 laws of health. I've added a new one. And before you think I'm gone crazy, there's a 9th one that I'm now using. Who has ever read Proverbs 17:22?
Mary Hart.
Yeah, let's sing it. Let's stand up. Some of y'all getting tired. Let's stand up. Who knows the song, A Merry Heart Doeth Good Like a Medicine? It's a song. Okay, I'll sit in my throat. Let me sing right now. But we'll sing it once, and then we'll sing it all together. If you know it, sing with me. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine is a merry heart, but a broken spirit dry up the bones. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Now y'all know it? Okay, y'all sing with me. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine is a merry heart, but a broken spirit dry up the bones. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Oops, I knew my voice would go out. Have a seat. As I read the author of those 8 laws, I see this law a lot. Do you see that when you read the author? A merry heart is important. I find that there are people who waller in the mud. True? You know what wallering in the mud is? Like a hog wallering in the mud? And they just waller, and they never get out of the mud. I had a good friend, Dr. Walter Strachan. Anybody ever hear of Strachan? Anybody ever hear of David Westbrook? It was Westbrook's father-in-law. He was a psychiatrist. And Strachan taught me, when working with people who've had things in their past which were bad, and there are people who've had bad things, can you change it? If you anybody ever wrecked a car and wished that you'd maybe waited 5 minutes? Or wished you'd gone a different direction? Or wish you didn't even get in the car to start with? But can you undo it? No, the car's wrecked. Mary Lou, can you slippery elm? I'm sorry. So, what Strachan said was, identify, yes, something terrible, awful happened. There's people who've had terrible, awful things. But the psychology today is teaching, oh, you got to find that person who did it to you. You've got to get them to admit it. And they ain't going to admit it. They ain't going to lose their family over it. And it happened a long time ago. They're not going to admit it. And you can't undo it. And so Strachan said, yes, something happened. It was bad. But can we fix it? No. So let me show you what we can do. And he goes over here and he points them to something really cool that's about to happen. And that's heaven. Showing them Jesus. Showing them what heaven's going to be like. And what can we do to get from here to here? Does that make sense? Yeah. And so, a merry heart, no, don't be Pollyanna, but be a positive person. Are there people who are wallowing in the mud and they're just always just mean as a striped snake and you don't want to be around them? You know people like that? Sometimes people are, you don't want to be like that. So, one of the laws is be happy. Be positive. And it's amazing what being positive does to your immune system. It is huge. And then there's 8 other laws in there. The most important one is trusting God. That's the bottom line. God's the one that does the healing. But also there's nutrition, eating healthy food. There's drinking adequate water. Very important for our bodies to run. Another one is exercise. Now there's a guy just up the road at this little community hospital called Duke University. Y'all know that community hospital? Dr. Walter Kempner at Duke University. Genius guy. He looked at little humans, he looked at big humans. And he found that little humans exercised 4 times a day. They had recess in the morning, they had PE in the morning, they had recess in the afternoon, went home and played, had chores. Remember those days? Kids don't do it no more. They don't let them out. But they did back then. And so Kempner looked at little humans and big humans, and he let the adults start doing the same thing, or had them start exercising. So at Duke University, he started exercising his patients who came to him 4 times a day. Marked improvement, cognitive function, reversal of type 2 diabetes. Did you know that Loma Linda found that a 20-minute power walk lowers the blood sugar more than 1 shot of insulin? A 20-minute power walk lowers the blood sugar more than 1 shot of insulin. Here's Kempner up at Duke doing it 4 times a day. That's like 4 shots of insulin. Psychology Today says that when you exercise, it increases the brain function by 2 hours. Your cognitive processing speed for 2 hours. So now what did you increase it? 8 hours a day. Because you exercised 4 times a day. As we look at reversal of diabetes, as we look at reversal of cardiovascular disease, as we look at weight loss, just a number of issues, exercising 4 times a day is huge on how well the body runs. High intensity training is also super good to do. Another one is sunshine. And there's a number of things for sunshine. You've got the serotonin for cognitive function. You've got the vitamin D. Then there's one called temperance. Now, temperance means making the right decisions. A lot of people think, well, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do illicit drugs, so I got temperance under control. Is there more things that could fall under temperance? It could be what you eat. It could be what you drank. It could be the music you listen to. Can the music you listen to affect your health? Can what you watch on TV affect your health? I used to think, have moderation in all things. And then I had kids. Moderation in cocaine was not an option in my house. Just boom, done. So there's something as total abstinence, not that they wanted it, but it's just, I let them know it's not an option. You have moderation in the good stuff, total abstinence in the bad stuff. Is TV good? Can TV be good? Yeah, there is some good programming on television. Is Walter Veith good? Some of y'all were saying you watch Clash of Minds. That's a great one. Thank you. Am I out? Okay, good. Slippery Elm is amazing. What? Oh, no. There we go. I had to settle my throat down. But there's good television programs. You've watched 3ABN. There's a number of them. But there's bad ones. But should we watch 3ABN all day long? Moderation. What about gaming? I'm of the opinion, my kids knew growing up, there was never a game on any computer that we had. I said, guys, there's school to be done, there's sleep to be done, there's work to be done, there's play to be done, but it is not going to be on games because it's a waste of time. We ain't got time to do that. That's just my personal opinion. Gaming like that fella, 4 days, but a lot of wasted time on gaming today. How about social media, like Facebook? Did you see what Susie's husband got her for her birthday? As she tells her husband. Or did you see where they went on vacation? And it's probably a lie you didn't even start with. But we're so tied up in that social media thing. And people have got thumb disease. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, physical therapists are telling me they're already working on thumbs. So then there's fresh air. And we're fortunate we don't live in LA. And the further out in the country, the better air you got. And then there's people who breathe like chihuahuas. We need to breathe with diaphragmatic breathing. Remember your baby when it was, little, its stomach went up and down? Who's taking voice lessons? Anybody ever take voice lessons? Okay. Did they teach you diaphragmatic breathing? Yeah. How about anybody play a wind instrument? Can you play a high C with a trumpet without diaphragmatic breathing? No way. And so what our teacher did, I'm not going to miss that. Well, here we go. What he did is he went and told us to go back to the dorm. This was an academy. He says, go back to the dorm, get your songbook and stick it on your stomach. Lay in bed and learn to breathe where your stomach goes up and down. That's diaphragmatic breathing. See, when we breathe like a chihuahua, we're barely getting any air in and we're barely getting any waste out. Even when we take diaphragmatic breathing, we don't still fill our lungs plumb full. So you want to get as much as you can. So air is important. Probably the toughest one I see today is sleep. Sleep is hard. Falling asleep and staying asleep. I have a hard time falling asleep sometimes. In my brain, I make lists on what to do. And there's days I don't get one item checked off, and that drives me nuts. Because I got a whole nother list for tomorrow. And I ain't got time for today's list to do tomorrow because I got tomorrow's list to do. Mary Lou identifies it, and she gives me what? What do you give me? An ashwagandha. Ashwagandha calms my brain down. Back rub works pretty good too. Sometimes I'll put some magnesium oil on my feet, and that works good too. So there's things that turn my brain off, and then there's things that where you're waking up in the middle of the night. And the problem is it's not a cookie cutter. What works for you may not work for her. And it's like deodorant. Have you ever seen a person with deodorant and it worked for a couple of weeks and it quits working, they got to try a different deodorant? The same thing's working here. It starts working, then they got to try something else. But it's something we got to keep working on. Making sure that we have adequate, our own melatonin. See, when you eat supper, it shuts off your melatonin making. When you eat supper, you don't make as much melatonin. If you eat within 4 hours laying down, your food putrefies and ferments. And then that can cause problems in the middle of the night. So just look at lifestyle things that can help with that sleep. And there are some things like L-theanine, copaiba. Who knows what copaiba is? It's phenomenal, isn't it? It's amazing. One of my favorite herbs now, essential oils. It can help you fall asleep. But we have to have our sleep. And those are those 9 laws. Remember that one I added, being happy, not wallowing in the mud. And those are things to do. But also there's some things that you can take to build your immune system. It's in my bag back there. You don't have to grab it, but where she grabbed this, it's okay. Unless you want to, you want to grab it? My oil of oregano. Who's ever used oil of oregano? That is my 357 Magnum. That is amazing stuff. One morning I woke up. Have you ever woke up at night and you feel like you're catching something? And you know you're going to be sick by next morning? So I woke up and I'm going to be sick. So if I don't do something. So I went over and my oil of oregano was empty. So I got up, went around the bed, went on Mary Lou's side, and hers was gone. Hers, I don't know what she did with it, but it wasn't there. So what did I do? I got up, I got dressed, I got my pickup truck, and I drove down the mountain. I went to work about 35 minutes away. Fortunately, I got a key to get you into a little health food store. And in the middle of the night, and I got me 2 bottles. One for me, one for her. I took 10 drops under my tongue. Drops, D-R-O-P-S. I had a guy the other day, thought I said droppers. D-R-O-P-S. And I went on back home. When I got home, I took another 10 drops. Went on back to bed. I got up in the morning, I was fine. If you can catch it in the incipient stage, you know what incipient means? Like if I catch a piece of paper on fire, that beginning flame is the incipient stage. I've got it in my fire turnouts. If I'm out in the interstate in the middle of the night working a wreck on I-40, or if I'm out working a house fire, and I feel my immune system's dumping because I'm not getting sleep, and I feel something coming on me, I'll pull it out. I'll take it. I've got it in my backpack that I use for search and rescue, for wildland firefighting. That right there is my 357. The other one I use that is really, really powerful, and that's my bazooka. Maybe my dynamite. And that's Allison. Allison is phenomenal. It takes 24 cloves of garlic to make 1 drop of Allison. And I might even take a tablespoon. I don't have time to be sick. And so just take how many drops are in a tablespoon times 24, and that tells you how much garlic you just took. But it's very powerful. And that I use. There's some other things that are good for immune system. Another one is golden seal. Or in the mountains, we have something called yellow root. Yellow root. We call it yellow root, like old yaller. And yellow root is like a Siamese twin to golden seal. It's very powerful. It has berberine. There is Oregon grape root. You ever heard of Oregon grape root? They call it poor man's golden seal. It's berberine again. Another thing is echinacea. There's angustifolia and there's potpourri, 2 different ones. You can use both of them. They have different effects. Echinacea is very good. And I like using golden seal and echinacea together. 2 mLs 5 times a day. Dr. Watkins taught me that. And it is phenomenal. Very powerful. Another one's very powerful is colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is very powerful. Another one that I'm starting to use, and Mary Lou's starting to use a lot, and that is far infrared. Who's ever used far infrared? You feel like you're pardon? Yeah. Yes, the lamp or the sauna. I use both, the lamp and the sauna. They're very powerful. Far infrared changes the water molecule in the blood to where you have better perfusion. Increases circulation. Perfect health is perfect circulation. So, I was going to say something there.
You use a mineral plate with your lamp?
No. What's that?
Special plate without some sail on it.
Oh, that's cool. We'll have to talk about that. A mineral plate, he's saying, can go with that. Never done that. Well, I'll need to learn that. But the far infrared, by increasing that perfusion, I mean, you can get rid of sinusitis, rhinitis, just all kinds of health issues. But it helps with the immune system by increasing that circulation. What else do we use, Mary Lou? Immune system. Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of people forget about vitamin C. But remember, vitamin C has a half-life of 4 hours. I'm sorry, correction. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. If you take liposomal vitamin C, it's about 5.5 hours. But vitamin C is very good, but you need to take it like 6 to 8 times a day. Elderberry, yeah, elderberry is another great one. Mary Lou likes mixing elderberry and the allicin. Yes.
Notice that when you start feeling sick, like under the weather, zinc is also.
Oh, zinc is excellent. Yes, zinc is a great one. Men lose more zinc than women. Zinc is important for brain function, for immune system, for thyroid, just a bunch of things. But if you do take zinc over 30 milligrams, zinc lowers copper, so you want to add copper to that, around 3 to 5 milligrams of copper. But zinc is a great tool. B-propolis. Who's ever used B-propolis? When I was down in Brazil several months ago, I brought back some really, really powerful B-propolis. I mean, it's powerful stuff. It works well. Yes?
So, you're talking about hours of sleep in the day, and 7 hours versus 9 hours. 9 overnight's too many. You go to bed, you wake up 6.5 hours later.
Take something, go back to sleep.
No, sir.
You can't do it?
My mind is now
Wide open. Try this. Try the ashwagandha. It turns mine off.
Who?
Ashwagandha. Don't ask me how to spell. How much? I've used different ones. And the only one that works for me really good is one by Terry Naturally. And they're guaranteed anything you use by them. But it's ashwagandha. Anybody know how to spell? Oh, you want to say it real loud?
ASHWAN.
ASHWAGAND.
Okay.
How much do you take?
I take 1 to 2 capsules. The Terry Naturally. Yeah. Yes.
Is astragalus good for immune system?
Astragalus, yes. Astragalus is, astragalus is really good for chemotherapy side effects. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
The brand name was what?
Terry Naturally. Terry. Terry Naturally. So there's all kinds. Yes.
That oregano oil, was that wild oregano?
That's the
Straight
bit.
oregano.
Good question. Let's clarify there. Thank you. There's oregano oil, and there's oil of oregano. Oregano oil and oil of oregano. Two different products. I've got a good friend, a physician, who doesn't live too far from here. He had a bottle he thought was echinacea. It was oregano oil, 100%. Took a big old swig of it. He fell on the floor, could not breathe. He thought he was going to die. And he was praying and praying and taking little air, and God preserved him. Oregano oil is 100% essential oil. It'll stop your breathing. It'll burn you too. If you take too much, it'll stop your breathing. So what they did is they took, then there's the other one called oil of oregano. That's 75% olive oil and 25% oregano oil. So it's the very first one. Add 75% olive oil to it. Now you have oil of oregano. Even in the oil of oregano, it's not all equal. So this one is wild oregano. The difference in that is, if you take oil of oregano that's not wild, if you take it long term, let's say you have mold. Dr. Bob Martin found that if he starts with 3 drops 3 times a day, crescendos to 15 drops 3 times a day, he gets rid of mold toxicity in people who have been exposed to mold. That's going to be some long-term utilization. That will mess with the gut biome if it is regular oregano. But the wild oregano, it does not mess with the gut biome. Now you can use the non-wild, it's just you have to add probiotics to it because it's going to mess with the gut biome. So yes, there is differences. Thank you for asking that question.
What's the actual name on that bottle?
This one is oil of oregano, oil of wild oregano, oregano. It's P, put my glasses on if I want to read it. Do you remember P73? Yes, ma'am. Dr. Bob Martin. So there's a lot of things that we can do for building the immune system that God has given us, natural foods out there. The key is the sandpaper. What are the things that we talked about that can cause the immune system to dump, prevent that from happening, and then you're less prone to get sick to start with, and you don't have to fight the infection. All right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question on vitamin D.
Oh, vitamin E is good.
D.
Oh, D is in Delta, yes?
So I read that the sun doesn't really give you vitamin D, enhances the body due to that vitamin D. And can one be in the sun for maybe several hours and still lacking vitamin D?
So they used to say, again, when we were in school, that we need just 15 minutes of vitamin D a day and that's enough. It's not. Again, how do we tell if we have adequate vitamin D? Blood level. Yes. So when you some people say, well, taking the vitamin D, it's better just to get the sunshine. Well, if you can, that's great. But if you can't get the sunshine, there is evidence that taking the vitamin D sublingual, which is the best way to do it, will raise the blood level. Is that your question?
No, I was just wondering, a person who stays in the sun, let's say for an extended time, is it possible that person can be lacking vitamin D also?
Can still be lacking, yes. If they are the further north, let's say you're in Alaska, you may still not be getting enough because of where you are on the earth. You're further away from the equator. The other one is what is your magnesium level and what is your boron level? If those are low, then you still might not be able to absorb, like that lady who worked in landscaping. Yes, Pastor?
We lived in Michigan. We served in Michigan for 6 years. And at that time, we were kind of ignorant with some of the stuff. And I would start suffering from depression. And it was because of the lack of vitamin D. Then we start taking vitamin D, and our levels start getting better.
Yes.
But we go from Michigan.
That's a good thing. Yes, ma'am.
Question, when you're talking about taking the vitamin D sublingual, are you talking about a specific dissolvable?
Just a liquid?
It is in liquid?
Yes, ma'am.
Same flavor?
Oh, you can take pills too. There are pills that you can take that are vitamin D. Caps. There are some. Be careful, gel. I'm about done with that. The challenge with gel capsules, some of them are not vegan, and so it can be horse hooves, pig's hooves. Yes, ma'am.
I heard that a significant amount of vitamin D is synthesized in your eye as well to avoid sunglasses.
I don't know about the vitamin D in the sunglasses, but I do know about the serotonin in sunglasses. Who's ever read the book Sunshine by Dr. Keim? It's a good book. And Keim tells a story of an army in Africa, and I don't remember what country it was. You were talking about Africa likes uniforms. So this army in Africa, the military started having SAD, seasonal affective disorder. That's Alaska, not African thing. And so why? Why is this whole army in this country in Africa having SAD? So they bring in this expert from somewhere else. And he's looking. He goes, well, y'all got sunglasses on. It's our new uniform policy. When we go outside, we have to wear sunglasses. Like when we go outside, we have to put our hat on. Take your sunglasses off. Boom, SAD went away. Because what happens is, as ultraviolet light comes through the eye, it then stimulates the pineal gland to convert tryptophan into serotonin. And it wasn't getting the stimulation to make the pineal gland convert the tryptophan into the serotonin effectively because it was blocking the ultraviolet light from coming into the eye. Any other question on that? Yes?
I was going to say, those who like to wallow in mud can't complain about it. Sometimes people complain about their health, but they just keep doing the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do. They just keep.
Also, like as far as vitamin D, like I've heard that like potentially it can affect the liver in high doses. You said exercise caution.
Okay, so on vitamin D, there's concern with getting too much vitamin D. Again, the labs say up to 100 is fine. Around over 130, there is documented cases of kidney stones. But it is rare. So if a person there's a doctor in Atlanta, she's retired, but she would push if you came to her with stage 4 cancer, she would push you up to 205. And she says, I can deal with kidney stones a whole lot better than I can stage 4 cancer. I can fix kidney stones a lot easier than stage 4 cancer. So there is precedence of going above the 100 down in Atlanta to fight certain things, osteoporosis, whatever. But what I tell folks, I tell them be in that 80 to 100, 90 to 100. Yes, sir.
Yes, next question, nutrition. Vitamin B12. We are told that the plant-based diet doesn't give you enough. So in order to get enough,
Yes.
like supplementation. So do you recommend anything for
Yeah,
B12?
that was something that we were told in the early 2000s out of Washington, D.C. Out of Maryland. And I called Agatha Thrash. I said, is that true? That plant-based are more prone to be vitamin D and vitamin B12 deficient. And she said it's a fallacy. She says, I have more meat eaters than plant-based come to me with a B12 deficiency. Now, the bottom line, what's the numbers? Whatever it is, what's the numbers? Look at the lab work. The problem with B12 is we're going to see a change. An example, we're now seeing a change in magnesium. For years, magnesium was a serum. And then they found only 1.5% to 2% of the magnesium is in the serum, the blood serum. That the majority of it's in the RBC. So now your Dukes, your bigger universities, Those guys are not doing serums. They're doing magnesium RBCs because they're a whole lot more accurate. See, because your serum can show you having more than really what you do, and the majority is in the RBC. We're seeing the same thing with B12 and some research coming out of Europe and California. And that is, B12 also comes out of the serum. And what it looks like, that it's more accurate doing a cellular B12 than a serum B12. And that's probably where we're going. And they're telling us our whole understanding of B12 is going to change. Because maybe right now what we think is top, like my B12, I don't take B12. But my B12, when I get my labs run, my B12 will run somewhere between 11 and 1200. Now I saw someone's lab the other day, it said don't go over 900. And I'm running 11, 12, and I don't take B12. I'm just plant-based. And so they're saying that number because they're saying that if you feel better taking more, go ahead and take more. We don't know where we are yet on that. That's shortly, they're going to let us know.
So in other words, so the test that they're doing, that lab is not really a cellular test.
We're going to see another test coming out that they're saying going to be more accurate than our current test on B12. And where we are in our understanding now on B12, it's probably going to change.
Okay.
Yes?
How about persistent leg foot cramp?
Yes. 75% of that is due to magnesium deficiency. Number 2 is dehydration. Number 3 is potassium deficiency. And number 4 is iron deficiency. And we're seeing iron deficiency increasing quite a bit in the emergency rooms because people aren't eating green leafy vegetables. Great source of iron is blackstrap molasses, tablespoon twice a day. But magnesium's the big one.
I've been hearing a lot lately about vitamin D with K.
Yes.
That has to be.
Yes. Vitamin D with K, and we are hearing people say, well, you have to have K to make the vitamin D work. To be able to absorb the vitamin D. No. And the problem with putting K and D together is the K hog ties you. And so you only want 300 milligrams of the K. And if you're needing higher doses of vitamin D, and say you're doing 1,000 D, 100 K, you can only go up to 3,000 D. And that K is going to hog tie you. So separate them. Do your 200 of K2, and then do whatever it takes of D to get you where you belong.
Like salad, said, or do like chlorophyll? Would that be the same? Like, would that give you the K and D?
I'm not sure on that one.
I'm thinking like a whole food option with the vitamin D by itself.
Oh, it is true. If you do take the vitamin D, you do need an oil, and so a lot of your vitamin Ds are now in an oil. To be able to make it more bioavailable. Yes?
That's what I was going to ask you because I've heard that take a fat soluble vitamin, you should take fat with it.
Yes.
But a lot of times they say vitamin D, if you take too much, you say the vitamin A and the E is going to lower them because the vitamin D is high. So I take my vitamin D with butter.
With what?
Butter.
Butter? Okay. I mean, you can take some with avocado oil, olive oil, or flax oil. Now, this is really cool, y'all. Y'all want to write this down. Atherosclerosis. We're finding extremely good results on atherosclerosis using 1 tablespoon twice a day of flax oil. Now, the flax oil brings, we'll say, the melting point down to where it dissolves better of the atherosclerotic material down. It brings it down to where then the lecithin granules, and we've known this one for years, is a tablespoon 3 times a day, and it literally dissolves the atherosclerosis. And we'll have people come in with occlusions of 70, 80 some %, and they'll do this, and they'll go back to UT in 3 months, and there's no occlusion at all. That's significant.
You say flax oil,
Flax oil, 1 tablespoon twice a day.
and then
And then lecithin granules. It can either be soy lecithin or sunflower seed lecithin. They both seem to be equal. 1 tablespoon 3 times a day.
So what's the difference between flaxseed and the regular oil?
The flaxseed and the oil, I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question there. All I know is from reading the studies is they only use the oil. And when folks come in with problems with the atherosclerosis, I don't like, just playing with something. Let's get aggressive on something we do know. So I haven't tested that. Pardon?
Atherosclerosis.
Atherosclerosis?
You said that's flax.
For the flax oil and the lecithin granules. Yes. You can also use, they are using now nattokinase and aggressive doses for also atherosclerosis. Yes. Pardon?
The granules, are you taking it with something or?
You can just take it by itself, or you can put it in food. Yeah.
Eat a teaspoon of sugar or something?
Lecithin granules? Yeah, it's kind of weird tasting, but you can put it over your food, but why mess up your food? Just get it gone and then enjoy your food.
The skin being the largest organ and much it does absorption. So are there benefits for magnesium to absorb it through the skin in an oil or something like that?
Yes, that's a good question. And absorbing magnesium, what is a great way to absorb? What is a product that we've used for who knows how long? Epsom salt. Epsom salt is magnesium. And you transdermally absorb it. Magnesium oil is a great tool. Cardiacs, if you have, say, congestive heart failure, rub magnesium oil on the heart, say 4, 5, 6 times a day. I have a friend, a physician, he actually just died a couple of weeks ago, he's a missionary. And if he had a patient with angina, he would rub from the sternum over, clavicle down, and he's just a good swath, and he said it would help even with angina. Or if you're having leg cramps, rub that area. I had a guy come in Thursday. He has problems with leg cramps after he goes to sleep. He doesn't want to have to wake up to rub it. I said, well, just rub it on before you go to bed because it's a deficiency. Magnesium oil. Now, they have a spray. I don't like the spray because the spray has a propensity to overspray like painting, and that gets on your bed or whatever. And plus, a lot of them sprays are just magnesium oil by themselves, and it feels like 1,000 centipedes all over you, stinging you for a while. And so I like it mixed with aloe vera. Mary Lou.
I started experimenting with the magnesium lotion and
Oh, yes.
combination.
Yes, you'll like this. So she started using magnesium oil or magnesium lotion and Copaiba, and the two are working extremely well. Yeah. Yes?
You heard anything about taking fish oil, like a large dose for chest pain?
I've heard of that, fish oil for chest pains. I just try to stay away from the animal products because of just potential and disease or whatever. I don't know. I know that when you look at chest pains or cardiac issues, Ornish, Pritikin, Campbell, Esselstyn, Kempner at Duke, all of those guys stayed away from oil in the restoring process. So when you look at addressing a health problem, you look at it in 2 stages. It's like, let's go back to that Farmall M tractor. You restore that tractor. You go find, 19, yours is a 40 what? 44? Okay. So let's say he finds him a 53 M, Super M. And he's going to go out and he's going to restore it. Well, he's going to do a lot of grinding, and he might use some tiger paw, whatever. He's going to sand it. He's going to prime it. He's going to paint it and sand it more, He's going to put new tires on it. He's going to rebuild the engine. He's going to put new seat cover on it. And I mean, it's going to be show quality. And that's the restoring process. And that's what Kempner at Duke University did in his program, was restoring. Once it's restored, he ain't going to take a grinder to it. He's not going to take sandpaper. He's just going to wash it and wax it and, keep the air in them tires and change oil. That's maintenance. So I go from Duke University and the maintenance program to Cornell University. In Cornell University, I used T. Colin Campbell's program. If you've ever watched Forks Over Knives or Plant Pure Nation, great documentaries. Forks Over Knives, Plant Pure Nation. And that comes out of the China study. And actually, there's a study that came out last year that showed the China study was wrong. The China study showed that if you did their program, the plant-based diet with exercise and with sleep and with water, that you would live 15 years longer. Well, the study that went back and looked at it, it was published last year, said, no, it's 20 years. Even better. And so I encourage people to go to that, which is a whole food. Now, here's a key. Plant-based. Fruit Loops are plant-based. Oreos are plant-based.
Also vegan.
They're vegan too. Yeah, that's plant-based. Vegan.
But they're processed.
But they're processed. So Campbell at Cornell says it's got to be whole food, plant-based, but not even just there. It's got to be with variety. And so that's Cornell University. Now we're seeing Harvard. Now we're seeing Cleveland Clinic. Now we're seeing Mayo Clinic also saying, no, your diet needs to also have variety because that's varied nutrients. We're not dogs. We don't eat just dog food, same old, same old. We need a variety of food. And so it needs to be plant-based or whole food, plant-based with variety is what Cornell found to get that 20 years longer. All right. So we need a break? Okay, let's take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to learn about Old Mountain remedies. How long are we going to take?
Whatever time you Till next Saturday.
I really appreciate this information, so valuable, right? You think you know when you realize you don't know, right? We're gonna take a little break, maybe 5-7 minutes. Is that okay? So you can stretch. Otherwise, we're talking about health, and we are not actually doing something healthy right now to be sitting for too long. So go and walk, go use the bathroom, the restroom, take water, and come back. But before you go, I want to mention this. We're gonna have one of the deacons there holding a plate, bringing Brother Wallcross here to the church has been a blessing because he's always busy, and he has this ministry where he goes everywhere, and he is a self-supported ministry, and he depends on the generosity of the people to be able to continue doing this ministry. So if God put in your heart to support him, please